This is the Malay Chinese, we call it Peranakan. This is the Peranakan Mansion.
Okay.
This is one of the house that they stayed long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. These two right up here.
Yeah. Baba and Nyonya. Baba is the guy. Nyonya is the girl.
Okay.
Yep.
Were they like the prince and princess?
No, it's for guys we call Baba, and girls we call them Nyonya.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Is that the office?
I guess so.
You think they had good Wi-Fi back then? Maybe there was dial-up. Hi, Tawan. Do you think you'd like to have a house this big?
No, I don't think so.
It's almost too big, right?
Yeah, it's hard to upkeep.
Hell, just this table over here would take an hour to... Can you imagine washing all those dishes? That'd be frustrating. Could you imagine having to polish this place? Like, I wonder how big the staff was. We're gonna go on a tour, so we're gonna actually walk around. This was a house that was owned by one very wealthy guy and the wife of that very wealthy guy that became a very wealthy woman. It's a huge house with a lot going on. I just did the tour and I'd like to share some of the key interesting facts of that tour with you guys. So the basic idea is a Chinese guy comes to Malaysia and strikes it rich with tin. He builds his house here in Penang. And man, oh man, this place is really, really interesting. He was so wealthy that he was tied in with the positive and negative elements in town, some of which were mafia tied. So a lot of the elements in this house are kind of like, I don't know, keeping an eye out for things, because people were interested in taking him out at any moment in a lot of cases. So he had to be very careful about his life. As a matter of fact, this is the main dining room table right here. So this is like the leader's table, and this is a leader's chair. I'm gonna have a seat at the boss's chair, very, very softly. Now the interesting thing when you sit at the head of this table is that it's like ancient CCTV. He can sit here and he can see everything going on from the front entrance to the back of the main lobby, all the way through to the other side of the building. So here's the head of the table. If you look forward, you can see the entire other side of the courtyard. If you look over to your right, you can see this mirror which reflects to the front of the house, the entryway. And then if you look in this mirror, you can see to the back of the lobby area, the back of the center courtyard. So you can kind of get an idea of everything going on. So if any nefarious elements are anywhere out there, the boss of the table knows what's going on at a moment's notice. Now if you looked out in the dining room table, you'd see the courtyard. This is the courtyard. A huge open area. The natural light effect was great, so you got a lot of natural light in this building that would permeate into all the associated rooms all the way around the building. This center courtyard style is really famous in China, so I think that was a real Chinese element that he brought with him from China when he built this place. But one of the cool things about it is weather. Now, you might feel like if it rains here, it would be a problem, but it's actually not, because in Chinese culture, a little bit of rain meant a little bit of fortune, and so they would collect that rain here on the bottom floor here. This is concrete, and it has these railings all the way around the outside that would direct the water. So the more water you had, the more luck that you had. So I've seen a lot of courtyard houses, and a lot of times they have big jugs of water. Sometimes they'd have fish in it. They would be used for fire suppression if there was a fire in the house, but they also brought a lot of good luck. So this is like the owner's version of that, but in opulent form. I'm playing some, what is this?
I don't know.
Is this a game? Is this Mahjong? I think they're trying to say this is like it's gotta be a Mahjong table here. There's no way that there's some rich Chinese guy that doesn't have a Mahjong. And this is where you keep the Mahjong tiles. You gotta go, hola! You gotta say hola.
Huh?
Hola.
Why?
Hola means it's like I win. I got you. Hola. Like if you have like, you know, a bunch of tiles that are good, you go hola.
Oh.
You know.
Hola.
Hola.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah. It's in Hokkien.
Yeah.
Hola.
The cool thing about this structure is it's broken into a bunch of different buildings. It's all part of the same family, used throughout generations and generations. And one of those uses was praying. Like, if you wanted to pray, you didn't want to go to the community temple. You went to your own temple, which was attached to the property. So this is the family's temple. Huge, ornate courtyard. Very, very Chinese in stylings and carvings, but extremely ornate. In the back here, you actually have the memorials, the remembrances for the family. Up here, you have the two main family members. Beneath it, you have, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heirs, and then beneath it, so you have remembrances for every generation, all the way through. I think the 5th generation is represented here, which is pretty interesting. Now the owner, the original guy, when he came from China, he had a lot of power. He had so much power, in fact, that he was allowed, and part of the niche group of high officials that could actually build a large dragon as the centerpiece of this temple that was his. That's actually an indication of how high a stature this guy had, how high his family actually stood on a totem pole. Now the first thing that catches you when you walk into this room is the smell. It was very musky, but it was also very familiar to me. I says, what is that smell? What is that smell? Well, the tour guide had us do a tour and then walked us over to this area, which is like the entryway. And then you see all these markings on the wall. That's when the smell clicked. And I remembered when I did the Son Doong Cave in Vietnam, and those caves had the same smell as I was smelling here. And when you look up, you get the answer. The rafters are full of bats. So that the smell you're actually smelling when you walk into this room is bat shit, bat guano to be more exact. And they say you can't look up and open your mouth because you might get some guano in your mouth. And then that's just bad news. The bats are actually a form of good luck. To have bats in your rafters in Chinese culture at that time was a good thing. Today, not so much a good thing. Now I find this area very interesting. This is the family pharmacy and hospital and sort of doctor's office. They had a staff of about 15 to 20 people that cared for them throughout the entire facility. But in this area, they had their medicine and anything that could be concocted to give them a little relief, or pain medication or whatever was concocted here at their herbal pharmacy. A lot of Chinese medications, Chinese herbs and whatnot were combined to create things to solve all your personal problems. There was many people that wanted this guy cut off. And so he didn't trust going out and buying medicine from the local shops. He had to get it from his own personal pharmacy where he could watch over and make sure nothing was laced with poison or meant to give him an early retirement, so to speak. And this was also the kitchen. So you have medicine over there and then food and everything in the kitchen over here. A lot of times in Chinese culture, making your medicine is almost like a cooking process in itself. As a matter of fact, you can see here, if you're Chinese, you'll know what these are. These are mooncake forms, so you can do all sorts of different mooncake forms and whatnot. On the top, those were actual lunch boxes. So if the family was going to go on a picnic or going to go out of town, you'd go ahead and set up each layer was a different type of food, and then you carry your lunch box. Not exactly the small lunch boxes I took to school when I was younger, but still kind of interesting. Down here, you'd have the crib and the little chair here for the kids. When the parents were here, when mom was here cooking, she had to put the kids down and take care of some cooking business. And she didn't want the little rascals running around. This could be a chair to sit on for an adult, so you'd sit down and you'd sit on the chair here, but you could also flip the chair. Let's see, there we go. You'd flip the chair up and it becomes a little desk, so the kid could sit in his desk and eat his food right here. So you'd have like, this is like a little baby mini high chair. I guess it's not a high chair, it's not very high. It's like a low chair for a kid. These are pretty much all for mooncakes, right?
This is called kueh bangkit.
Kueh mooncake.
Yeah, kueh bangkit.
Kueh bangkit.
What is that?
is white color biscuits where they put flour, they press into the mold.
It's a mooncake. Sort of like a mooncake.
Sort like a mooncake, but it's called kuih bangkit. It's white in color.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you do when you're filthy rich and you want to hang out and, I don't know, kick back a couple of brews? Well, you don't have a couple of brews back in the day. I mean, I probably had some rice wine and whatnot, but you know what you did to kick back in the day? You smoked some opium. So this is like an actual opium chair. You'd sit down, and these pillows here, well, these are plastic, but originally you'd have the wooden pillow, you'd lay down, chill out with your buddy, one over there, one over here, and you just smoke opium until you've smoked enough opium. I don't know. Now, Douyin really wanted to tell you guys about something that he found really interesting.
Yeah, this is a tiara. So the tiara is made of the kingfisher feathers.
Kingfisher feathers.
Yeah. So if you were to like zoom in on the feathers, the tiara. So let me just zoom that in.
Yeah.
So that is actually the feathers of the kingfisher.
Yeah.
So you need to, they actually put it in one by one onto the tiara. Yep.
Oh, wow. So when you died and you were a nobleman or a noble woman, right? The woman dies too, would you mourn? You have to mourn for 3 years. This was what you wore on the first year of the year after the death. And this is what you would wear on the second year. On the third year, you went a little lighter and you would wear this. So everybody in town would know that you were mourning somebody and exactly what stage of mourning you were at. Now we're going to go to another section. I'm not too interested in it, to be honest. It seemed kind of boring. But Douyin says he's really interested in it because it's sort of based on his culture and his background. So I'm going to let him introduce the embroidery.
Let's go. What we have here is the embroidery. They are using the beads to create the shoe.
What are the beads called? What did she say?
It's called manet manet in Malay. So each shoe will actually take like 4 years to complete for them to use, and then one shoe is like 4,000 beads on it to 5,000 beads. And let's go to the tablecloth, the one that they use for hantaran. So what do you call when a guy and a girl get married? So I'm giving you a gift, and then the guy will give back a dowry.
A dowry.
Yeah. Dowry. So I have the dowry here that they made as a tablecloth. This is actually used as a tablecloth that they use for the dowry. So each piece is using the manet, the beads that they are using, and each of it has like, this one has like 100,000
beads.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Douyin. That was a very good presentation. When I first heard the people talking about it, they were like, money, money. And I was like, money, 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 money. I was thinking they were talking about the value of the shoes, which is probably true. Each one of these is probably worth a lot of money, money for that money, money. Now, the downstairs was for entertaining and guests, but the upstairs is just for the family. So this is where you have the bedrooms for everybody. Actually quite fancy. And because you were wealthy, you had like the top of the line stuff. This is a top of the line music box. Only plays one song, and it's about the size of 3 grandfather clocks put together. You were the talk of the town. You had the first radio when it came out. Probably this was the first one. This came a little later. Ooh, let's check out this TV. It was black and white. It was covered in wood, but that was about as good as you could get back in the day. It's so funny to think about the way time has changed. I'm just a commoner, according to the rules of this house back in the day, but I've got a phone with more technology than they could even dream of. Times are changing. And then if you wanted to sit down with your lover, with your significant other or your girlfriend, then you came here and you sat in the lover's chair. Come here, Douyin, sit with me. Just an example. So this is me, and then this is you.
I'll pretend that is not you.
It's kind of, I don't know. I think it's a little uncomfortable. Where do you put your hands? I think you'd have to put your hands on top of each other. You'd be holding hands. I don't want to hold his hand. You know what? Enough with this example. It's enough. But it is an interesting chair. Now, something of particular interest to me, being a YouTuber, is this here. This is a camera. This is probably one of the first cameras around that were owned by people that could actually buy a camera. It was probably very, very expensive. I was told that the time it takes to shoot a picture with this camera is about 20 minutes. So you had to stay in front of the lens for 20 minutes. And it's one of the reasons why when you see a lot of those old pictures, very rarely do they have kids in them, the really, really old ones. Because there's no way that a kid could stand still for 20 minutes. But if you were an adult, you could kind of freeze and the photographer would say, wait, no sneezing, no itching, 20 minutes, and then you get a nice picture. That was the talk of the town back then. Hey, come on over, hang out for 20 minutes, we'll take a picture.
What about this?
Where are we now?
We are at the place. This is the room of the wives.
The wives?
Of the Baba. So the Baba has 4 wives. One is in China, and then one passed away. So there's another 2. So one is on the right, and the other one is on the left. So there's a lot of kids for their children, right? So they need like 15 to 20 staffs.
Just
to take care of the kids. Yeah.
How many times did wife number 1 step out or wife number 2 and they meet and they're like, you bitch? I could not imagine having 4 wives. I gotta imagine it would be painful to be the wife too. I don't think anybody's happy in that arrangement. All right, now we're moving on. Where are we going next?
Little India.
Little India. We passed by it on the way here.
Yeah, and then we'll go to the Indian temple.
Okay.
Along the way, so we'll pass the Little India again.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. Let's start speeding this thing up. We'll hit places real quick. Now, the first thing that catches you when you come in here is the smell, and I didn't know what it was until I was introduced to it. Actually, it smells awful. I mean, but you know what the smell is.
No, because it's
the smell
I think
is.
it's made because
It's
of
all the guano.
Tamu don't stand there because they said it's no good. This bats.
Well, he can stand there. He
They
just.
shoot you,
Yeah.
and they shoot you. They pee, you know,
Yeah.
and this most probably coming from these animals, you know. Because
Bats.
Actually, now we are in Little India.
Okay.
So you have all the Indian songs around, all the Indian spices. It's actually the oldest Hindu temple in Penang. This place is the Kapitan Keling Mosque.
I like the vibe of this place. It kind of reminds me of Hong Kong, the eclectic nature of everybody gathered together. Everybody's got a smile on their face, and it's really interesting with the little splash of flavor from Chinese New Year coming up. I'm stressed out just having a coffee at this place. We're almost wrapping up. We're gonna look at a bunch of murals, because this place has a ton of murals, and then we're gonna wrap it up. And we're done.